All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring excerpts from Coaching para el éxito and hopefully uncover some practical advice for, well, boosting your success, whatever that looks like to you. It's really all about unlocking potential, and I have a feeling this deep dive is going to be packed with those aha moments.
Yeah, what I find interesting about this book is it doesn't just talk about those big lofty goals. It actually gets down to those nitty-gritty details, the everyday life stuff. And it makes this argument that all those little annoyances we all put up with, the book calls these tolerations, they're actually draining our energy and kind of blocking opportunity.
Okay. So like what, like my inbox overflowing with emails or the pile of laundry I keep telling myself I'll fold later, that one friend who's like always 20 minutes late no matter what.
Yeah.
Those are my tolerations.
Yeah.
But how do these small things really stop us from succeeding?
Well, think of it this way. Your mental bandwidth, it's like a computer's processing power, right? Every time you tolerate something, it takes up a little bit of that processing power. It's leaving you with less capacity to focus on your goals and really make those positive changes. And the book argues that by clearing out these tolerations, you free up that mental space, and that allows for new ideas, opportunities, and even just the energy to actually take action.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's like when my phone's memory gets full, it starts running super slow.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my brain is kind of doing the same thing with all these little annoyances, these like mental pop-ups clogging it up.
That's a great way to put it. And the book actually suggests a really interesting exercise. It says, make a list of your tolerations and do it with a friend. For that accountability, the act of just identifying these things, it brings them to the forefront of your mind, and then tackling them with a buddy, it turns it into a fun challenge instead of, just another chore.
I love that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that make you like hyper aware of every little annoyance? Like suddenly I'm fixated on that squeaky door hinge I've been ignoring for months.
It might feel that way at first, yeah. But the book argues that this heightened awareness, this is the first step to actually taking control. You're not passively accepting these little drains on your energy anymore. Plus, the book suggests rewarding yourselves, for making progress, which can help make it a positive experience.
Oh, okay. So it's about being intentional with our energy, recognizing that even small things can like have a big cumulative effect on our well-being and our ability to succeed.
Exactly. And that brings us to another powerful concept in the book, which is setting boundaries. It might seem unrelated, but the ability to say no to things that drain us. This is crucial for protecting our energy and focus.
Oh, this is something I struggle with. The book tells this story about Marcia, who's constantly being taken advantage of until she learns to assert her needs. That really resonated with me. It's so easy to feel like you have to say yes to everything, especially like in a work environment, but then you end up feeling resentful and totally burnt out.
It's a common trap, and that's why the book offers this really practical 4-step communication model for setting boundaries. It's inform, request, demand, and cut off. It's a gradual escalation. You start with just a simple statement of your need and become firmer if you need to.
So it's not about being like aggressive or confrontational, but about clearly communicating what you're willing to accept and what you're not.
Right. And it starts with awareness. The book, it encourages us to ask ourselves, where am I giving away my power? Where am I allowing others to kind of dictate my time and energy? Once you've identified those areas, then you can start setting those boundaries to protect yourself.
This all ties back to that idea of intentionally managing our energy. If we're constantly saying yes to things that drain us, we're left with nothing to pursue our own goals and passions.
Yeah.
Right. And that can definitely impact our sense of success and fulfillment.
Absolutely. Speaking of things that can impact our sense of success, let's shift our focus a bit to the realm of financial freedom. The book introduces this really intriguing concept called a money fast. Have you ever considered something like that?
I have. I've always been curious about those, like spending cleanses or whatever, but never actually tried one myself. The book tells a story about Rebecca, a stay-at-home mom who actually saved a significant amount of money during her money fast.
It's fascinating how a challenge like that can really shift your perspective. Rebecca realized that many of her purchases were impulsive, driven by boredom rather than actual need, and this forced her to become more resourceful and appreciate the things she already had. Yeah.
It's like hitting the reset button on your relationship with money, right? And it makes you question those ingrained beliefs about what you actually need to be happy.
Exactly. It ties back to that idea of self-awareness, understanding your spending habits and the underlying emotions behind them. That awareness, this is the first step to making more conscious choices with your money, regardless of income level.
So a money fast, it's not just about saving money, but it's about gaining a deeper understanding of your relationship with money, which can be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. And speaking of empowerment, let's dive into one of the more, I guess you could say, metaphysical concepts in the book, attracting what you desire through the power of not needing.
Now, this one sounds like a paradox. If you don't need something, why would you even want it?
Okay, think of it this way. Have you ever noticed that when you desperately want something, it seems to elude you. But when you're feeling, confident and self-assured, opportunities just seem to flow effortlessly.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. When I'm like stressed about finding a job, for example, it feels like nothing comes my way. But then when I'm feeling good about myself and my skills, I get more interviews and offers.
Exactly. The book argues that neediness, it creates a kind of repellent energy, while a sense of abundance and self-sufficiency, this attracts what we desire. And it's not about denying our desires, but about shifting our energy from a place of lack to a place of already having what we want.
So it's about cultivating this internal state of I already have everything I need, which then attracts more of what we desire into our lives.
That's the essence of it. And this applies not just to material things, but to relationships, opportunities, and even our overall sense of fulfillment. The book encourages us to ask ourselves, what would it feel like to already have this thing I desire, and then embody that feeling?
It's like manifesting. But instead of focusing on the external outcome, you're focusing on the internal feeling of already having it. That's a really powerful shift in perspective.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final section of the book, which focuses on developing an effortless success mindset.
Now that sounds like my kind of success.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this mindset.
This section, it goes beyond those outward achievements and really emphasizes cultivating inner peace and aligning your thoughts with your goals. It suggests a simple but potentially powerful practice, writing down your desires 15 times a day.
15 times. That seems like a lot of writing.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah. It's about leveraging the power of repetition to reprogram our subconscious minds. Many of us, we have these limiting beliefs that hold us back from achieving our goals. By consistently focusing on our desires, we start to challenge those beliefs and create new neural pathways that align with our aspirations.
So it's like brainwashing ourselves for success.
Yeah.
But, in a good way.
Exactly. The book emphasizes that this doesn't mean success will suddenly become effortless, but rather that we'll approach our goals with more ease, clarity, and a deeper sense of purpose.
It's about creating a more supportive internal environment for success.
Precisely. And that's what this first part of Coaching Para El Éxito really emphasizes, laying that groundwork for success by eliminating those energy-draining tolerations, setting those healthy boundaries, shifting our relationship with money, and cultivating that mindset of abundance and self-belief. It's all interconnected.
This has been so insightful. We've covered a lot of ground, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this book. There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll be delving into the book's advice on navigating the workplace, building strong relationships, and creating a life that truly reflects your values and passions.
So what's one thing that really stood out to you from this first section? What will you be pondering as we move into the next part of our deep dive?
That concept of tolerations, it really hit home for me. It's made me realize how much mental energy I waste on things that don't truly matter. I'm definitely going to be making that list. What about you?
I'm really intrigued by this idea of money fast. I think it could be a really powerful way to reset my relationship with money and just become more conscious of my spending habits.
I'm curious to hear how it goes. And before we move on, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated most with you from this first part of our deep dive? What aha moments did you have? Share your thoughts in our online community. We're always excited to continue the conversation there. So, building on those foundational concepts, we just discussed the tolerations, the boundaries, the money mindset, the
Wow.
book, then it kind of takes those ideas and applies them to a very specific area of life, our
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to think of personal development as this thing that's separate from professional success, but they're really two sides of the same coin, aren't they?
Exactly. And one of the first things the book tackles is this fear that so many of us have asking for a raise. It's a conversation most people they just dread.
Hmm.
But the book suggests it doesn't have to be like this battle.
Yeah, tell me more. The book has this bold advice about not being afraid to ask for what you deserve. But how do you actually do that without coming across as demanding or entitled?
Well, the key is to frame the conversation around your value and contributions to the company instead of just saying, I want more money. The book recommends documenting your successes, highlighting how you've gone above and beyond, and quantifying your impact whenever possible.
So it's almost like building a case for yourself, like a lawyer presenting evidence in court.
That's a great analogy. It takes the emotion out of the equation and focuses on the facts.
Yeah.
The book, it outlines this 3-step process. First, gather your evidence. Second, schedule a meeting with your boss to discuss your performance. And finally, state your desired salary increase, clearly and confidently.
I like that it starts with a conversation about performance. It sets a more collaborative tone, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just jumping straight to the money talk.
Yeah. And the book, it stresses the importance of staying positive and focused on the future. It cautions against, dwelling on negatives or making promises that you can't keep.
So no bringing up that time you accidentally deleted an important file. Got it. It's about highlighting your potential for continued growth and contribution.
Precisely. And even if you're not actively seeking a raise right now, the book recommends regularly checking in with your boss, to discuss your performance and just make sure you're on track for career advancement.
Yeah, that's a great point. It shows initiative and a desire to grow within the company, which can only benefit you in the long run.
Absolutely. Now, what about those who, aren't in traditional employment? Does the book have advice for freelancers or entrepreneurs?
It does. For those working independently, the book suggests focusing on increasing your rates or the percentages you take on projects. But how do you actually determine the right price point, especially when you're first starting out?
It's a combination of market research and just confidence in your own abilities. The book, it recommends researching, industry standards to get a sense of what others are charging. But it also emphasizes knowing your worth. If you're offering exceptional service and expertise, don't be afraid to charge accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of freelancers and entrepreneurs struggle. It's that believing in their own value and actually setting prices that reflect that value. It's easy to undervalue yourself, especially when you're eager to get clients.
It is a common challenge. The book reminds us that undercharging, it ultimately hurts. It hurts everyone in the industry. It devalues the work and it makes it harder for others to earn a fair wage.
So it's about recognizing that setting appropriate rates, it's not just about personal gain. It's about advocating for the value of your work and contributing to a healthy and sustainable industry.
Exactly. And the book, it encourages us to continuously invest in our professional development, taking courses, attending workshops, staying up to date on industry trends. This allows us to offer even better services, which in turn justifies charging higher rates. It becomes this wonderful upward spiral of growth and abundance.
It's a great reminder that investing in yourself is one of the best investments you can make. Now, moving beyond just earning money, the book also tackles the bigger picture of financial freedom. It introduces this concept of building a reserve account. I have to admit, this one always feels a bit daunting.
It can seem like a big goal, especially if you're not used to saving. But the book, it makes a really compelling case for why it's so important. It recommends having 6 months to 2 years worth of living expenses saved up in a separate account.
Wow, that's a significant chunk of change. But I can see how having that financial cushion, it would provide a sense of security and freedom, both professionally and personally.
Exactly. It reduces financial anxiety and it allows you to make decisions from a place of strength rather than fear. With a reserve account, you're less likely to feel, trapped in a job you dislike or settle for opportunities that don't truly align with your goals.
It gives you the power to walk away from situations that no longer serve you and pursue those passions we were just talking about.
Exactly. And the book, it even highlights how this financial security can impact our relationships. When you're not constantly stressed about money, you're more likely to attract partners who are financially stable and share your values around abundance and generosity. It creates this foundation of stability and allows you to build relationships based on something deeper than just financial dependence.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, the book, it takes this concept even further and introduces the idea of financial independence. This sounds like the ultimate goal.
It's definitely a long-term aspiration for many. The book defines financial independence as having enough money invested that you could, theoretically live comfortably off the interest without ever having to work again.
Wow. That is the ultimate freedom. But how do you actually get to that point? It feels like such a distant dream for most people.
It's certainly not a quick fix, but the book, it provides a framework for achieving it. It starts with determining how much money you actually need to live comfortably, and then developing a plan to invest and grow your capital over time.
So it's about shifting your mindset from spending to saving and investing and being patient and consistent in your efforts.
Exactly. It's a long game that requires discipline, but the rewards, they're significant. The book emphasizes that financial independence, it's not about being rich. It's about having the freedom to live life on your own terms and pursue your passions without being limited by financial constraints.
It's about aligning your financial reality with your values and aspirations. Now, beyond finances, the book also, it delves into the importance of building a strong support network, both personally and professionally. It introduces this concept of creating a brain trust.
Yes, this resonated with me. The book, it emphasizes surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, support your growth, and offer diverse perspectives. It's about building a team of advisors, mentors, and peers who can help you achieve your goals and navigate life's challenges.
It's like having your own personal board of directors. But for your life, but how do you actually go about finding these people and creating those genuine connections?
The book suggests starting by reflecting on the qualities you admire in others and identifying people in your existing network who embody those qualities. It might be a former professor, a colleague you respect, a friend who always offered insightful advice.
It's about looking at the people around you with fresh eyes and recognizing the potential for mentorship or support in unexpected places.
Exactly. And in the book, it also encourages us to be proactive in seeking out new connections, attending, industry events, joining professional organizations, or even simply reaching out to people we admire and asking for a coffee chat.
It's about recognizing that building a strong support network, it's an active process.
Yeah.
Not something that just happens passively.
Right. It requires effort. But the book argues that it's one of the most valuable investments you can make in your personal and professional success. And while we're on the topic of relationships, the book, it also highlights the importance of nurturing our connections with family and friends.
Yeah, I was really touched by the chapter on showing appreciation for loved ones. It had this really simple but powerful suggestion.
Yeah.
Send 5 thank you notes each day.
Such a simple gesture, but imagine the ripple effect. The book, it argues that expressing gratitude can strengthen our bonds and actually enhance our own well-being.
It's about taking the time to acknowledge the good things in our lives and the people who make those good things possible. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Even a quick text message or a heartfelt thank you in person can go a long way.
Absolutely. It's about weaving gratitude into the fabric of our daily lives, making it a habit rather than an afterthought.
It's about making those small everyday gestures of appreciation that can make a big difference in our relationships and our overall outlook on life.
And speaking of outlook on life, the book, it encourages us to take a step back and envision the life we truly desire. It's about designing your ideal life, not just accepting the one you happen to be living.
This sounds amazing. Does the book give us like a step-by-step guide for achieving this?
It's not about following a rigid plan, but about using our imaginations and creativity to paint a picture of what truly matters to us. The book, it suggests asking some really thought-provoking questions. Like where do you want to live? What kind of work would you love to do? How would you spend your days?
It's about thinking big and not letting your current circumstances limit your vision for the future.
Exactly. The book, it encourages us to explore different ways to bring this vision to life, like creating a vision board with images and words that represent your ideal life, or writing a detailed description of a typical day in this dream scenario.
It's like creating a blueprint for your future, a roadmap that guides your decisions and actions towards the life you truly want.
And even if that vision seems, far-fetched at first, the book reminds us that even small steps taken consistently over time, they can lead to significant changes.
It's about believing in the power of possibility and taking action to turn those dreams into reality, no matter how big or small those actions may seem.
And while we're on the topic of dreams, the book, it dives into the concept of finding work that aligns with your passions. It tells this great story about a woman who felt really unfulfilled in her corporate job, and eventually she discovered her passion for interior design. It wasn't like a sudden epiphany. She had to actively explore different options and experiment until she found something that truly sparked her interest.
That really resonates with me. It could be scary to leave the security of a steady job. But the book, it encourages us to at least explore our passions, even if it's just a side hustle or a hobby at first. You never know where it might lead.
Exactly. It's about carving out time for the things that light you up, even if you can't immediately make a career out of them. And you might be surprised at how incorporating more of your passions into your life can positively impact your overall well-being and even your performance at work.
It's about creating a life that feels balanced and meaningful, where your work and your passions are in harmony.
Yeah.
Rather than in constant conflict.
Precisely. And that brings us to one of the most intriguing concepts in the book. Attracting what you desire without chasing it. It sounds paradoxical, but the book argues that when we focus on cultivating a sense of inner peace, abundance, and self-sufficiency, we become magnets for the things that truly align with our authentic selves.
Yeah. It's like that idea that the more you chase something, the further it runs away. But if you kind of let go and focus on creating a fulfilling life, that the things you desire, they kind of naturally flow into it.
Exactly. It's about shifting our energy from a place of neediness to a place of receptivity and openness. The book offers some strategies for achieving this state of effortless attraction. Like eliminating those energy draining tolerations, nurturing a strong support network, and setting those healthy boundaries to protect our time and energy.
So it's about creating a foundation of self-love and self-respect that allows you to approach life with confidence and a sense of deserving.
Absolutely. It's not about, manipulating the universe or tricking people into giving you what you want, but about aligning your inner world with your outer desires. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts the things they want, rather than chasing after them from a place of lack or insecurity.
I love that. It's about becoming a magnet for the things that are meant for you.
Precisely. And this leads us to the concept of not needing, which as you mentioned before can seem a bit counterintuitive. But the book, it argues that the less you need something, the more likely you are to attract it.
Yeah, this reminds me of the analogy we talked about earlier about going to a bank for a loan.
Yeah.
If you're desperate for the money, you're seen as a higher risk. But if you're financially secure and you don't need the loan as much, you're more likely to get approved.
Exactly. It's about the energy you project. Neediness creates a kind of repellent energy, while a sense of abundance and self-sufficiency attracts what you desire. And this applies not just to money, but to relationships, opportunities, and even our overall sense of fulfillment.
So it's not about denying our desires or pretending we don't want things, but about shifting our internal state from a place of lack to a place of abundance. It's about believing that we already have everything we need, which then paradoxically attracts even more of what we desire.
You've got it. And this idea of not needing, it ties directly into the final section of the book, which focuses on developing an effortless success mindset.
This sounds like my kind of success. Can you tell us more about this mindset?
This section, it goes beyond those outward achievements and really emphasizes the importance of cultivating inner peace and aligning your thoughts with your goals. One of the techniques it suggests is writing down your desires 15 times a day.
15 times. Why so many?
It's about harnessing the power of repetition to reprogram our subconscious minds and overcome those limiting beliefs. When we repeatedly focus on our desires, we begin to shift our internal dialogue and create new neural pathways that support our aspirations.
It's like replacing an old worn-out record with a brand new track that inspires you to reach your full potential.
That's a great analogy. And the book, it emphasizes that this shift in mindset, it doesn't mean that success will suddenly become effortless, but rather that you'll approach your goals with more ease, clarity, and a deeper sense of purpose.
It's about aligning your inner world with your outer desires.
Exactly. And the second part of Coaching para el Éxito, it builds upon the foundation we discussed earlier, eliminating tolerations, setting boundaries, shifting your money mindset, and shows you how to apply those principles to your career and your finances. It also emphasizes the importance of building a supportive network and taking care of your overall well-being.
It's about creating a holistic approach to success. Recognizing that all of these areas of our lives are interconnected.
Absolutely. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some of the more nuanced concepts from the book, including the importance of self-care, embracing a playful approach to life, trusting your intuition, and cultivating a mindset of gratitude.
This has been so insightful already. I'm really looking forward to diving deeper into these final concepts. But before we move on, what's one thing that particularly stood out to you from this section?
The idea of building a brain trust, that really resonated with me. It's made me think about the people in my life who offer genuine support and challenge me to grow. I'm going to be more intentional about nurturing those relationships. What about you?
I was really intrigued by the concept of designing your ideal life. It's a powerful reminder that we're not just victims of circumstance. We have the power to create the life we want. I'm definitely going to be spending some time reflecting on my vision for the future.
I love that. And before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated most with you from this section? What new insights did you gain? Share your thoughts and aha moments in our online community.
Picking up where we left off, I think one of the refreshing things about this book, Coaching para el Éxito, is how much it emphasizes self-care. It's not like all about hustling and striving all the time. It actually reminds us that, to really achieve true success, we need to take care of ourselves too.
It's so easy to get caught up in that go mentality and completely forget to prioritize our own well-being. But the book argues that neglecting self-care, it actually sabotages our efforts to to succeed in the long run. Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to run a marathon without ever stopping to hydrate or refuel. You'll just burn out so quickly. And what's interesting is the book emphasizes self-care practices that don't actually require you to spend money.
Oh, that's a huge release. So many self-care tips you hear involve like these expensive spa treatments or fancy products, which can feel really out of reach for a lot of people. What are some of the things the book suggests?
Well, it encourages, those simple pleasures like taking a walk in nature or enjoying a nice long bubble bath or even just disconnecting from technology for a while and spending some time in quiet reflection.
So it's about finding those little moments in your day to recharge and reconnect with yourself without having to spend a ton of money.
Right. And the book even suggests little things like using, nice stationery or listening to uplifting music or surrounding yourself with fresh flowers. It's about infusing your daily life with beauty and joy, even in those smallest details.
It's about creating an environment that really nourishes your soul and supports your well-being.
And speaking of nourishing your soul, the book also dives into the importance of physical fitness, but it emphasizes finding activities you actually enjoy, not just punishing yourself at the gym.
Okay, that's a relief. I've always struggled with sticking to a workout routine, because it always felt like a chore.
Yeah, I hear that.
Does the book have any advice for folks like me?
Well, it suggests finding a workout buddy or maybe even a personal trainer to help keep you motivated and accountable.
That makes sense. Having a support system can make a big difference. It kind of turns exercise into more of a social activity, something you look forward to rather than dread.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to move your body that feel good and energizing, not draining and punishing.
Right.
And that ties into the book's overall philosophy of approaching life with a sense of playfulness and joy. It's about remembering that success, it doesn't have to be serious and stressful all the time.
Yeah, there's a whole chapter dedicated to being curious, which I think is such a valuable mindset to cultivate.
Absolutely. It's about approaching life with a sense of wonder and a willingness to learn new things.
Yeah.
Regardless of your age or your experience level.
And the book points out that this doesn't have to involve formal education or anything like that. It could be as simple as reading books, watching documentaries, taking online courses, or even just having conversations with people who have different perspectives than your own.
It's about feeding your curiosity and expanding your knowledge base, which can often lead to new opportunities and a deeper understanding of the world around you.
And it keeps your mind sharp and engaged, which is so essential for success in really any field.
And speaking of staying engaged, the book reminds us that we all have those little annoyances, those tolerations we talked about earlier that can really drain our energy and distract us from our goals. Do you have any strategies for actually getting rid of these tolerations?
Well, the book suggests making a list of your tolerations, but doing it with a friend for accountability. The act of writing them down and sharing them with someone else, it kind of brings them to light and makes them feel a little bit more manageable.
I like that. It turns it into more of a shared challenge rather than a solitary burden.
Right. And the book also suggests celebrating each toleration you eliminate, no matter how small.
That's a great way to stay motivated. It's about acknowledging the progress you're making, even if it's just baby steps.
And while we're on the topic of small steps, the book also, it talks about the importance of being aware of warning signs and taking action to prevent those small problems from becoming major crises.
Yeah, it's like noticing a small leak in your roof and fixing it immediately rather than waiting for it to turn into a major flood.
Right. It's about being proactive rather than reactive,
Yeah.
and addressing those issues before they spiral out of control.
And the book encourages us to pay attention to both our physical and our emotional well-being, recognizing that warning signs, they can manifest in a lot of different ways.
So, like if you're feeling constantly stressed or exhausted or irritable, those could be signs that something needs to change.
Exactly. And the book suggests things like, setting boundaries, delegating tasks, taking breaks, and engaging in activities that nourish your soul.
It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, and taking steps to replenish your energy reserves.
And speaking of energy, the book, it also delves into the importance of managing our time effectively.
There's one suggestion that really surprised me. That was turning off the television.
Yeah, it might seem extreme, but the book argues that watching too much TV, it's a passive activity that drains our energy and prevents us from engaging in more fulfilling pursuits.
It's not about, demonizing television or anything like that, but just being more mindful of how we spend our precious time.
Right. And the book suggests replacing that TV time with activities that nourish our minds and our bodies and our spirits.
Like reading or learning a new skill or spending time with loved ones, or even just, enjoying some peace and quiet.
Exactly. It's about choosing activities that make us feel energized and engaged and alive.
And on that note of making conscious choices, the book also talks about the importance of being efficient in our work and finding ways to work smarter, not harder.
I love that phrase. It's about finding those strategies and tools that can help us accomplish our goals with greater ease and effectiveness.
One suggestion is to focus on strengthening our strengths rather than trying to be good at everything.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that we each have unique talents and abilities and channeling our energy into those areas where we naturally excel.
So instead of spreading ourselves too thin, we should focus on what we do best and delegate those tasks that drain our energy or fall outside our area of expertise.
Exactly. And the book also emphasizes the value of seeking support when we need it, whether it's from a coach or a mentor or a therapist or even just a trusted friend or colleague.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to go it alone.
Yeah.
And that asking for help, it's a sign of strength, not weakness.
And speaking of strength, the book encourages us to be proactive in pursuing our goals and not let fear or procrastination hold us back.
It's about taking action, even if it's just one small step at a time.
And celebrating those small wins along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Recognizing our progress, it helps us stay motivated and build momentum.
And speaking of recognizing our progress, the book, it also reminds us to be mindful of our self-talk and to challenge those negative or limiting beliefs that hold us back.
It's about cultivating a positive inner dialogue that supports our growth and well-being.
And that positive self-talk, it can extend to our relationships with others. The book, it encourages a mindset of abundance and generosity, recognizing that there's enough success to go around.
Yeah, it's about shifting away from that scarcity mindset and celebrating the achievements of others.
And recognizing that their success doesn't diminish our own.
Right. It's about creating a culture of support and encouragement where everyone feels empowered to succeed.
And speaking of empowerment, the book also highlights the importance of trusting our intuition and following our inner guidance.
It's about recognizing that we each have this inner wisdom that can guide us towards our highest potential.
And learning to listen to that inner voice, even when it leads us in unexpected directions.
Sometimes the best decisions are those that come from the heart rather than the head.
And speaking of making decisions, the book, it encourages us to be mindful of the choices we make each day and to align those choices with our values and our goals.
It's about recognizing that every decision, no matter how small, it has the power to shape our lives.
And taking responsibility for those choices, knowing that we have the power to create the life we desire.
What a powerful message. And speaking of powerful messages, this book has been full of them.
It really has. Coaching Para el Éxito has given us so much to think about, from eliminating those tiny tolerations to setting boundaries to shifting our mindsets about money and success to nurturing our relationships and embracing our passions.
It's been a tree deep dive into the principles of personal empowerment and creating a life that feels that feels both successful and fulfilling.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to take action. I'm gonna revisit that tolerations list and finally tackle that overflowing inbox.
I'm feeling energized to spend some time, visualizing my ideal life and taking those first steps towards making that vision a reality.
That's fantastic. And before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated most with you from this deep dive into coaching para el éxito? What aha moments did you have? What actions are you inspired to take? Share your thoughts and insights in our online community. We can't wait to hear from you.
Until next time, keep diving deep.